pattern designer, and I'm coming to you from a tiny town in the mountains of Idaho. Today I am going to tell you about a sweater that I have been looking forward to for literal years, absolute years. So before we begin, let me tell you where you can find my patterns. You can find my patterns on Ravelry and my website. Links to both of those places are in the description box down below. You can also find a link there to sign up for my email newsletter. If you sign up for my newsletter, you get a 20% discount on all my new patterns, which is the best discount I offer. And when you sign up, you will also get a 20% off code that you can use on your first purchase. So please do go sign up for my email newsletter. It is the absolute best place to be if you like my designs, because you'll always get an email when I have a new pattern and you'll always get the best discount. Now, let me tell you about the sweater I have dreamed of for years. I'm almost done with it, but not quite. So this is Bough. I think I've mentioned it to you quite a few times. B-O-U-G-H, bough, like a tree bough, not bowing to the queen. So I didn't think of how many homophones the name had before I picked the name for it. I was just thinking of it as text. And then I started using it in podcasts and telling people about it. And I realized that when you say bow, people are going to think like you're bowing to the queen instead of bow like a tree bough. And so that's why I always clarify. So maybe next time before I name a pattern, I will think about how many homophones the name has, but I didn't. So this is Bough. It has had this name for like a year now. So this is the sweater Bough. It is inspired by evergreen wreaths. So you have the pine boughs here, and you have a wreath that goes and wraps around your shoulders. You have the blank stockinette area above, and it's just this one bold, impactful section of color work on the whole sweater. I'm gonna get closer so you can see it in greater detail. There is your bough, your pine boughs, your wreath of evergreens. So this is knit in Biche et Bouche Le Lamb's wool, which is they call it a heavy DK light worsted weight yarn, but honestly I think they should just call it a straight worsted weight yarn, because that's how it's behaving for me. If you can hear my dog barking outside, I'm sorry. She's just right outside my window here. So my main color is dark green gray, and my contrast color is, hang on a second, I left my knitting bag way over there. Oh, I've got a ton of tags in here. Hang on. I'll find it. It's one of the gray ones. Ah, there we go. Light gray. It's very descriptive name. So light gray is the contrast color. It's this light heathered gray color. And then dark green gray is the main color, which is honestly the absolute perfect green. Like, look at that. It is stunning and gorgeous and perfect, and I love it. Green is my favorite color, particularly this shade of green. I also really love gray, as you might notice from my entirely gray outfit. And putting them together is just a match made in heaven. It is a tree bough, so I did consider using the gray as the main color and the green as a contrast color, so you would have the tree boughs be the exact same color as a tree. But ultimately I decided to use green as the main color and gray as the contrast, because I just wanted as much green as I possibly could put into the sweater, particularly since it's such an absolutely gorgeous shade of green. Like, look at this. It's perfect. I love this green so much. This is my favorite color right here. I'm really enjoying knitting with this yarn. It's a woolen spun yarn, and I really love woolen spun yarns. I absolutely adore them. They're my favorite style of yarn is woolen spun yarns. The fabric is really soft and it's really lightweight. I wish you could feel it. It's like a soft cloud. It's really great. If you haven't knit with this yarn, you should. You definitely should. I'm gonna put this on for you so you can see what it looks like on. I'm gonna pull this needle through a little bit more. This is actually the third version of this sweater. And I will tell you more about the process in just a minute after I show it off to you. Now this has not been blocked, so it is going to look a little bit funky, a little bit lumpy and bumpy. This is how it will look. So you have your wreath going around your shoulders and across your chest, and then the body is just plain. I'm going to stand up so you can see the length. I cropped mine. It looks a little bit bunchy, but after I block it, it will fit about like this. Stretch it out a little bit so it sits right. Also, there's a knot in my t-shirt, so that makes that look funny too. So this sweater I'm knitting specifically to wear with skirts and dresses that sit in my waist. You can see how nice it looks with this skirt here. I have 3 skirts and 2 dresses I can wear this over, so I think I'll have plenty of options for outfits. And I keep stabbing myself. I have been wanting good sweater options to go over top of my skirts and my dresses for a long time. So on this one, I decided instead of knitting it to my usual mid-hip length, I was going to purposely knit this sweater to wear with my skirts and my dresses. And so I was going to crop it so that it works really, really well with my skirts and my dresses. So I'm pretty happy about that. I haven't actually cropped a winter sweater ever. My summer patterns, my summer garments are cropped, but I've never done it with a winter one yet. So this will be my first cropped winter sweater to wear over skirts and dresses, which is a bit exciting and a bit nerve-wracking because I have a really long torso, like a really, really long torso. When I'm sitting down, I'm as tall as my husband, who is 6'3". When I was growing up, it was the 90s and the 2000s. The style back then was very similar to the style now, unfortunately. The style back then was really low slung pants and a little bit cropped shirts. So I couldn't find a shirt that ever fit me, like never. There was never any shirt that was long enough to actually cover my whole body because I didn't want to show off my tummy. I was not somebody who was into cropped shirts and wanted to show off her belly. And oh, belly button piercings were big because you had the cropped shirt and then you'd have your belly button piercing and then you'd have your super low jeans. How did you even wear underwear with those jeans? It was not a good fashion. I don't know why people are bringing it back. Anyway, I have childhood trauma from shirts that would never cover my tummy. So for me to crop a sweater is a pretty big decision to make. So this will be my first ever cropped sweater. It comes just down over my waistband. You can see, here's my waistband here. It just comes down over my waistband. Here's the top of the skirt right here. So it covers the waistband with a little bit of length over top of the waistband, so I don't have to worry about gapping there, but this is quite a bit shorter than I usually knit. I am pretty excited for it though, because this means that I can have a really cute outfit for all of my, not all of, but all of my skirts and 2 of my dresses. I'll have a really cute wintertime outfit for, because I can wear this sweater over top and then I can put on my wool leggings and it'll be cozy as all get out. So this is Bough. The pattern is going to come sometime late in November. As you can see, I am just on the first sleeve here. I want to finish this sleeve today, but I don't know that I will accomplish it. My girls have volleyball games this evening, and I don't know how much knitting time I will get whilst sitting at their games. So there's that, and then just the other sleeve. There's also going to be a kids version of this. I originally intended to have the kids version knit at least through the yoke before I recorded this podcast, but I didn't end up having time to do that because my girls learn in volleyball and it's 3 days a week, which is a lot for me, to do. So let's talk about why this is the 3rd version of this sweater. This is version number 3. I'm going to show you version number 1. Version number 2 no longer exists. As you can see, oh, I've got another loose ball here on there. Version number 1 is exactly identical to version number 3. They're exactly the same. Version number 2 is very different. So I knit this sweater down to here. You see I've knit several inches on the body already, and then I blocked it. I was hoping to have it look really nice for a podcast episode, so I blocked it, but you may notice. Do you see the ripples on the yoke? Yep, there's ripples on the yoke. There's more on the back. You can see the yoke is rippling, and that's not good. That's not good when the yoke ripples like that. So what happens when the yoke ripples is you've got, it can be two things. You've got too many increases up at the top, and so you have more fabric than body to fill it up. And so then it kind of ripples and puckers because you have extra fabric there. Or what I think the issue with this version was, you have more fabric right above the color work here, and then when I knit the color work, I knit it slightly tighter than the stockinette. So the color work portion of the yoke was slightly tighter than the stockinette portion of the yoke that is immediately above the color work. I think that ultimately is why I have this rippling, but I can't keep this rippling. This can't stand. That's just not gonna look good. So I thought, you know what? The reason this is rippling is because we're going from plain stockinette into color work, and the color work is tighter than the plain stockinette. So the solution is to add color work up here to the top of the yoke. And so version number 2 had a full color work yoke. The color work started immediately after the neckline, and then this was moved. This top border piece was moved, but then it came down to this wreath and this bottom border again at the very bottom of the yoke, but the whole upper part of the yoke was filled in with color work as well. I knit almost the entire yoke. I was down more than halfway through this wreath section. I was more than halfway through the yoke, I'm pretty sure. Or I was halfway through the wreath section. I was almost completely through the yoke. And then I set it up to take cute pictures of it for Instagram because I was going to share the progress of the yoke. And I set it up on this fence post, like artfully set there with, you know, autumnal trees in the background. And I looked at it and I thought, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I do not like this sweater at all. I probably can show you because I took pictures of it on my phone. It was a very, very pretty setup. It looked really good, but I was just looking at the yoke and I was like, no, this is not it. This is not it. Sorry, I'm scrolling back through lots of sheep pictures. Oh, and a kitty. There's a kitty. That's my favorite kitty. Her name is Caddy. She was gone for a while in the summer because she hates our other cat, Pumpkin, and so she disappeared for a bit, and now she's back, which makes me very happy. I'm glad she didn't leave forever. This is a video, but you can't see it very well. Hang on. Oh, me taking content in the woods. How precious is that? Okay, pause. You can see, let it focus. Is it gonna focus? There's yoke number 2, and there's me putting it on a post in the woods with a lovely stream behind, and all the aspens are yellow. And I set it on that post, and I looked at it. Maybe I get out of the way here in a second. I do get out of the way here in a second. Here it is. Here's version number 2, right here. Make it bigger. We'll zoom and zoom. Does that just look grainy? There's version number 2. I put it up there on that post and I looked at it and I thought, this is ugly. I'm sorry to everyone who loves it, but I took one look at it and I thought, no, this is not it. I cannot do this. And I had gone, the kids and I had gone and met some friends for a hike, and I got home And I immediately ripped out version 2. Like that same day, as soon as we were home, as soon as everything was settled and I had knitting time, I just ripped it out. I just ripped it completely out. I was like, this is not the solution to my problem. I do not like this sweater. We're gonna go back to plan A. We're gonna go back to the original wreath design, and we're gonna come up with a different solution to the problem. So I came back to plan A, and now when you knit this, when you knit it, you knit on size 6 needles through, this is all flopping all over the place because the sleeve is uneven, is weighing it down. So you knit on size 6 needles down through the stockinette portion, and then I switch up a needle size and I work the color work on a size 7 needle so that my color work fabric is a little bit larger, because my problem was that the color work fabric was a little bit too tight. It's a little bit tighter than the stockinette. And so I worked the color work on a size 7 needle, and then I switched back to a size 6 needle immediately after I was done with the color work. I didn't do a good proper blocking on it. I soaked it, but then I have a rack thing that you can put in your dryer, so you can put your shoes on it and you can dry your shoes in the dryer without them just tumbling and tumbling and tumbling. So I soaked the yolk, wrapped it up in towels, and then I laid it on that platform in my dryer, and I turned my dryer on so that it would dry faster, because I wanted to know now if there were any problems. And this time you can see we don't have any rippling in the yolk. And in the back there's not any either. Hopefully you can see that. The sun is shining right in this room, so I apologize if it got blown out funny, but there it is. Whoops, I dropped it. So going up a needle size perfectly solved my problem. I didn't actually need to come up with a whole new color work chart and change the color work, up above the sweater. I didn't need to knit all of version number 2. I just needed to rip out my color work and go up a needle size. But instead of doing the efficient thing right away, I knit 3 yolks, and anyway, so that's why it's taking me a while to get done with this sweater. But in the end, it will be worth it because it will fit nice. So this is Bough, version number 3, which is the final version, and I'm on Sleeve Island. So I've got 2 balls now, they're all tangled up. So this version is going to be ripped out. I didn't rip it out because I didn't want to lose all of my work in case I came back to it. And I also wanted to have it so that I could show you on the podcast what was going on with it and why I was changing it and all that. So that is version 1, which I'm going to rip out, and I'll use this yarn from this sweater for the kids version, which hopefully I can cast on tomorrow, but we'll see how that goes. It's going to be 70 degrees tomorrow. It's going to be nice through the weekend, and then it's going to get cold next week. And in the back of my head is constantly playing, like, last October was beautiful right until the last week of October, and then it snowed at the beginning of November, and it didn't melt, and we had snow all the way until April. So if this winter goes like last winter, within 3 weeks from today, which it's 70 degrees t-shirt weather today, within 3 weeks from today, I will have several inches of snow on the ground, and the snow won't go away until April. So I am spending as much time as possible outside while the weather is nice and there is no snow, because I know that the days are numbered, very, very shortly numbered. Last winter was very, very hard. Very hard. It's very long. So here's Bough number 2, and actually number 3. In Biche et Bouche Le Lamb's Wool. Honestly, you guys, knit with this yarn. It is stunning. It comes in amazing colors, and I just love this color. Actually, as I'm knitting on this, I'm thinking I would really love a cardigan in this color. There was a time in my life when I always had a dark green cardigan in my wardrobe. They were usually shawl color or open front or both cardigans, but they were always this dark green color, and it was an absolute staple in my wardrobe, which has me thinking that maybe I need to knit myself a dark green cardigan. But the problem is that if I knit it in a single color, I'm probably going to be really tempted to add some design elements, like some texture or something to it. And when you have a really dark color like this dark green, the texture doesn't show up well in the photos. So if I make it this beautiful, spectacular, cabled dark green cardigan, you're just going to see a dark green cardigan and you're not going to see the cables and texture and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I do actually, I have 5 cardigans planned for over the course of this winter. So by next summer, I will have 5 cardigans knit for myself. None of them are dark green. 2 of them are gray. One of them is going to be kind of like a burnt caramel reddish brown color. I actually have the yarn in mind for that one. The 2 gray ones I already own the yarn, and the other one's going to be colorwork. So I do have some serious cardigan plans for this winter, but none of them are green. But I might need to I can just knit a green cardigan over the summer, right? Or maybe I can just knit a green sweater and be happy with that green sweater. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that is all the knitting I was going to show you today. And now I'm going to go and get my children ready for volleyball because we have to leave in half an hour for their volleyball games. It's very loud in the rec center where we do the volleyball, so I need to find my earplugs to take along because it just leaves me with a pounding headache after being in there for too long. And also, here's a sheep update for you. I have some of my sheep, my Finn sheep, have an extremely long fleece. They are 7 months old, and there are a few of them where the fleece is already about 5 inches long. I did the really professional measuring technique of putting my hand in their fleece and then like holding the fleece up against my hand to see how far up my hand it came, and then coming in the house like hours later and measuring my hand. It's a girl measuring, like the little video where you see the girl holding up her hands and then going to see if her piece of furniture will fit there. I'm girl measuring my fleece. But it's a really long fleece. I have big hands. It's like this long already from the tip of my fingers. It's like a 5-inch fleece already. And so I became concerned how long of a fleece is too long to spin into yarn. So I called the mill before I sat down to record this podcast, the mill that I plan to have my yarn spun at next spring. And anything over 6 inches in length is too long to spin into regular yarn. And you have to turn it into a Lopi style yarn, like Let Lopi, which is essentially just a really thick single ply. She says she makes really beautiful Lopi yarns, and it's fantastic, but my heart is kind of set on doing a worsted spun, like a normal, regular spun yarn. We'll see how it goes though. I need to take an actual ruler out to my sheep barn and actually properly measure the fleece length of my sheep to see how long their fleeces actually are, because if I wait until February to shave those ones, to shear those ones, which is 4 months away, and they've grown 5 inches of fleece in 7 months, they're probably going to have like 7 or 8 inches of fleece by the time February comes around, roughly. I'm not doing the exact math in my head, I'm just guesstimating. So I need to decide whether or not I shear them now and turn their fleeces into normal yarn, or if I just let them grow until February and then turn some of them into a Lopi style yarn. So I have decisions to make, and I need to find a ruler and actually do a properly measure the length of their fleece. Not just stick my hand in there and be like, yeah, that's 5 inches. So I need to make that decision. You can let me know down below if you think I should, if it would be okay if I make a Lopi style yarn out of their fleeces. It's like Let Lopi. It's spun in the same way as Let Lopi is, but it wouldn't be Let Lopi because it's a Finn sheep, not an Icelandic sheep. And I have no idea if that would be popular or unpopular. And at this point where it's about to get really cold, I'm nervous about possibly shearing some of my sheep right now. I would have to get them little jackets probably. They have a barn and they have plenty of food, and yes, I know they're gonna be fine. But I am somebody who fusses over their animals and worries about them. So I would buy them coats for my own peace of mind. And it's probably pretty unlikely that they would use the barn because their companions who are not sheared are not going to need the barn and are not going to sleep in the barn. And they have one spot out by the gate in the pasture where they always sleep, and that's probably where they will go sleep. And so my naked sheep would get cold, but the ones that hadn't been sheared yet would be fine. So I have decisions to make, but first of all, I need to go to volleyball. So I hope you guys have had a lovely day so far, and thank you so much for talking about knitting with me for, 26 minutes today. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend with lots and lots of knitting, and I will talk to you next week. Bye!